I saw this video earlier today where the girl described a dream that's very similar to dreams that I've had. She talked about being in this like four-dimensional space that was like copies of itself over and over again. And she got lost in it. And she wanted to go back to like the original, like the beginning, but she just couldn't find it. I've had dreams like that too. Like this one time, I was driving along a coastal highway at night, and I realized that it was repeating. But by the time I realized, I didn't know how far back I needed to go to get back to the original. And another time I had the same dream, but it happened in a neighborhood. Like I could just walk down the street, but I would end up in the same place again. And by the time I realized that I was lost in this thing, I didn't know how to get out of it anymore. And I wonder what it means. Her describing this dream is the only time I've ever heard of anybody having a dream that's anywhere close to that kind of dream. But she described pretty much the exact experience, like down to the emotional content of feeling lost and wanting to go back and feeling like everything is wrong and you just need to go back. I saw this movie one time called Coherence. It's about a house party that takes place during a strange like comet event. There's a comet passing over Earth and it's causing strange things to happen on Earth. And I found it interesting because what happens to the characters in that movie is very similar to what happens to me in those dreams. It's a good movie, by the way. But the characters go into alternate versions of their neighborhood and they start going crazy because they don't know if they're like still talking to their original friends or if they're talking to like an alternate version of them. Possible to like get stuck in one of these alternate realities and not be able to get back to your own. But I saw that movie long after I ever had those dreams. I saw the movie and it reminded me of the dream, not the other way around. It makes me wonder, like maybe the writers of that movie have also had similar dreams or were like inspired by a similar concept. It also makes me wonder about causality, like the direction of time. Like, was I attracted to that movie because I've had dreams like that? Or was I having dreams like that because I was eventually going to watch that movie? When I was a little kid and I still believed in God, you know, people were telling me to pray. And they would tell me, you know, don't pray for material things. Pray for, you know, emotional things like motivation and stuff like that. And what I prayed for being a little kid, the only thing I really wanted, what I understood is that I was going to have a life, that I was going to grow, and that I was going to become an adult and be independent and have a life, that I had a lot of time ahead of me. And what I prayed for was for my life to be interesting. I was like, God, please, whatever my life is like, I just don't want it to be boring. Just please let it be interesting. And given the life that I've led, that prayer came true. It makes me wonder sometimes. The only time I ever prayed when I genuinely believed in God, that prayer came true. But it also makes me wonder about causality, you know, the direction of time. Did I pray that way when I was a child because I was destined to have an interesting life? Did I have an interesting life because the prayer was granted, or is it just a coincidence? Or maybe I'm just the type of person that was always going to have an interesting life no matter what happened, and somewhere deep down I knew that, and that's why I prayed for it. But maybe I prayed for it because I had an interesting life already ahead of me. I had it. It was ahead of me. So which one came first? The prayer or the fulfillment of the prayer? It makes me wonder. In the movie, there's a scene early on where one of the house guests pulls out a bit of ketamine and she asks if anybody wants any, but she's the only one that ends up taking it. And then later on when strange things are happening and they're all accusing each other of lying and doing these strange things to each other, one of them turns to her and asks, "Did you drug us? Did you actually drug us? Are we all high right now?" And that was just a very chilling moment for me. I had to pause the movie and like kind of freak out a little bit. It scared me because that's like psychological horror on a very deep level. I've had moments, you know, coming down from LSD trips, for example, where I kept slipping back into it without noticing. And then as soon as I would notice, it would be like, oh, how long have I been here? How long have I been in this place that's kind of different but the same, but it's wrong? And how do I get back to where I just was? Like I've wandered into this space and gotten lost, and by the time I realized I'm in it, it's too late. You know, it just makes me wonder.